Now, let's join ace broadcaster Mamode Akugha as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome to the program. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. I am Mamode Akugha. With the commencement of campaigns for the presidential elections of Sunday, 18th of November 2018, the stage is now set for political parties and their candidates in the Niger Delta and other parts of the country to hit the ground running ahead of the 2019 general elections. Based on information at our disposal, Akwa-Ibom State, where the political gladiators are already spoiling for war, remains one of the flashpoints in the Niger Delta as we inch closer to the forthcoming elections set for February next year. Taking the lead on our lineup in this edition of the program is a special report on the alleged plot by the All Progressives Congress APC to dislodge the governing People's Democratic Party PDP from power with the use of federal might, whatever that means. On our next issue is a continuation of deliberations at the Niger Delta Dialogue, organized recently in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, to take an assessment of the federal government's Strategic Implementation Work Plan, SIWP, a deliberate policy initiated and implemented by the federal government to douse tension in the Niger Delta, following President Muhammadu Buhari's meeting with the region's leaders on November 1st, 2016. Moving on, Inside the Niger Delta will unveil the position of some Niger Deltans on the appropriate succession arrangement for the NDDC, as its current Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Nsima Ekere, will officially take a bow any moment from now to join the governorship race in Akwa-Ibom State. And finally on the program, we'll bring you details of how Niger Delta icon and former Managing Director of the NDDC, Chief Time Alaibes, gave out his daughter Ibitimi in marriage to the prominent Ajegbo family of Obosi Kingdom in Anambra State, southeast Nigeria. Inside the Niger Delta will continue in just a moment. Don't go away.
Inside the Niger Delta.
It is no longer news that Akwa-Ibom State is one of the oil-rich states in the Niger Delta that the two biggest political parties in Nigeria, the APC and the PDP, are determined to capture in the next electoral dispensation. In the build-up to the 2019 general elections, the PDP alleges that the APC has designed a grand plot to forcefully take over the reins of power with the use of federal might, an allegation that the APC dismisses as unfounded and misleading. In this report, Inside the Niger Delta correspondent Tekena Amiofori takes a look at the mood in Akwa-Ibom State ahead of the general elections.
Akwa-Ibom, a leading oil-producing state in the Niger Delta, is nicknamed Land of Promise. Uyo, the state capital, and other towns and cities almost all the time depict a sightly and peaceful landscape, but this is not the exact picture during election periods. Barely 2 weeks into the 2019 general elections, the political arena is already inundated with allegations and counter-allegations of plans to deploy violence to secure victories at the forthcoming polls. Senator Albert Akpan of the People's Democratic Party had hit the first salvo last month when, on the floor of the Senate, he alleged that the opposition All Progressives Congress in Akwa-Ibom State was planning to use what he referred to as federal might to rig the forthcoming elections.
That as a fallout to the recently concluded primaries of the party in the state, where scores were killed and 2 divisional police headquarters burned down, the state government has discovered a plot by the All Progressive Congress in Akwa-Ibom State to cause mayhem that will lead to the cancellation of the forthcoming governorship election in our state, so as to mobilize what the so-called federal might, to distort the peace of the state.
A quick response came from Senator Godswill Akpabio, immediate past governor of the state, who recently defected to the All Progressives Congress. While briefing journalists on the alleged plot to disrupt the forthcoming elections, Akwa-Ibom, who was not in his usual boisterous mood, had observed that the allegation by the PDP was a case of an aggressor crying wolf.
What evidence does he have that there is a plan on the part of APC to stop election in Akwa-Ibom? What has happened here is a question of the aggressor trying to play the role of a victim. And then it is actually the PDP, or the PDP, that is causing a lot of attempt at insecurity. A lot of people have resigned from the government to join the PDP. One of them is here, which you can look at. Maybe, I don't know who will show you this. This is a young man, barrister, in front of them. Have you seen that? It was until a few weeks ago, until 2 weeks ago, he was the special assistant to the government of Akwa-Ibom State on electoral matters. Barrister in front of them, from a Biono local government, where the senator comes from. 15 people entered his house, and then they almost killed him. They shot him. You've seen the blood everywhere. He's lying critically ill now, and then no person has been arrested. A day after I joined APC, over 8 miscreants came to the front of my house and shot bullets into my compound. And when I asked, they said, oh, they were armed robbers. They were trying to rob a nearby filling station. When Sima Ikere became the flag bearer of the party, a very day after, while people were all over his compound celebrating, a bullet pierced through the ceiling of his house and pierced through the POP and entered into the adjoining his bedroom. The wife was sitting there with the relation, and the bullet dropped there.
In the battle for the soul of Akwa-Ibom State are rivals who were once members of the same political family. Not quite unfamiliar with their individual strategies to coast to victory, the political combatants may have devised new ways of snatching victory in the present circumstance. With the cutting away recently of 2,045 permanent voters' cards from INEC office in Okobo local government area by unknown hoodlums, the foreboding signs around the 2019 general elections are beginning to emerge. Interestingly, however, both camps have continued to lay claim to the support of the voting masses to emerge victorious in what promises to be one of the most fiercely contested elections throughout the Niger Delta.
We are confronted with two stark and distinct choices. The choice of living in a state that is peaceful, devoid of kidnappings, politically motivated assassinations, and where the security of lives and property is assured, or a return to the fearful years when death and insecurity walked on two legs, where people were afraid to visit or pursue their legitimate businesses for fear of being kidnapped. It is a chapter in our state's history we wished had not been written. The interests of one man cannot override the collective good. Akwa-Ibom interest must supersede one person's interest.
The only federal might we are going to use and we are using to win the election in Akwa-Ibom State is the performance and actions of President Muhammadu Buhari. That is the federal might. The achievements and what he has done in the country and in the state. That is the federal might we are going to use. There is no police to be used again because you cannot carry ballot box.
Referring to Akwa-Ibom State as a theater of electoral violence is only stating an obvious fact. In April 2011, the state had recorded a bloodbath when an attack on the campaign rally of Senator Oduedege in Ikotekpene resulted in reprisal attacks in Uyo, incidents that claimed lives and property. The onus is on the security agencies to avert a repeat of bad history in Akwa-Ibom State.
In Akwa-Ibom State, nobody should be in doubt about our commitment to give the ballot the true meaning that it deserves. Ballot papers, result sheet original, will be audited by a party agent of all the parties participating in Akwa-Ibom State. They will see the original result sheet, they will see the ballot papers. Election will be conducted at the 2,980 polling units of the 31 local government of Akwa-Ibom State. But security must be neutral. There must be absolute and unqualified neutrality of all institutions that are going to be involved in the election.
Which political party will emerge victorious in the forthcoming elections is only a matter of speculation. But the expectation is that a level playing field be provided for all the contestants to test their popularity at the polls.
The recent Niger Delta Dialogue on Sustainable Peace and Development had taken an assessment of the federal government's Strategic Work Implementation Plan (SIWP), initiated in the wake of the November 2016 dialogue between President Buhari and the region's leaders to pour oil on troubled waters. While commending the federal government on its response to the plight of distraught communities in the Niger Delta, participants at the dialogue had underscored the need to improve the lot of the people with increased funding of interventionist agencies and ongoing physical and human development projects in the region.
We want to push further, especially in the 2019 budget, so that more of the projects that are captured in the SIWP are also included in the appropriation for 2019. It was okay. And I think that if we continue to dialogue and continue to get informed at what government is doing, it's going to, it's going to foster more unity and cooperation, and the end result will be that there will be more peace in the Niger Delta.
Certainly economic development is one, the amnesty program, disarmament, good governance issues, the environment, and the cycle will be repeating itself very soon. We've had 10 Niger Delta dialogues so far, and our grant will be renewed very soon, and we hope to have another dialogue in the month of November.
A co-convener of the Niger Delta Dialogue, Ambassador Nkoyo Toyo, was emphatic in her position that the federal government should, as a matter of urgency, make provisions for the revitalization of moribund seaports in the Niger Delta in the 2019 budget. Her argument is that the seaports, when made to become functional, will create jobs, increase prosperity, and reduce tension in the Niger Delta.
We must fix the ports. The quickest answer to dealing with the Niger Delta today, the quickest, is for former Governor Amechi to get the One, Warri, Koko, Port Harcourt, and Calabar ports working. That can be done. That can be done under the 2019 budget, and it can be done in the first quarter of 2019. It is a doable because these are existing ports. What are the bottlenecks? Remove those bottlenecks and create a whole swing of power and activities back in those ports.
Still on the development of the Niger Delta region, we talk now about the NDDC, the Niger Delta Development Commission, where, of course, its current Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Nsima Ekere, will any moment from now take a bow to join the governorship race in Akwa-Ibom. Following this development, some opinion leaders in Ogoni Land, River State, are calling on the presidency to appoint one of their own, Derek Mene, the current Executive Director of Finance and Administration in the NDDC, as the next acting Managing Director and Chief Executive of the Commission. President of the Movement for the Survival of Ogoni People, MOSOP, Legbosi Piagbara, says the appointment of Derek Mene as acting MD of the NDDC will only follow an already established precedence in the leadership of the Commission.
If the MD resigning, I think the next rank for me is the Executive Director, Finance Admin. So naturally, she assume into that position, even though in an acting capacity, until when things are put in a place properly. So naturally, you expect that there should be a natural progression, or whoever is the next most senior person to take over in the place. We've had situations before where either by removal or by resignation, MDs have left the place, and the next in line that are always taking over has always been the Executive Director, Finance and Administration. So we don't see why this one should be different. If there had been a tradition, we expect the same tradition to be followed.
Derek Mene, who until his appointment as Executive Director, Finance and Administration of the NDDC, had a flourishing career in the service of the Rivers State government, is described by his kinsmen as the most suitable candidate for the NDDC top job.
He can manage, in fact, he's an administrator. He's an administrator, so he's very suitable. He's eminently qualified to operate as the NDDC director. He's eminently qualified, so nobody can tell us any hanky-panky here. He's qualified, so he should be given. And if he's not qualified, they would have also come out and said, look, he's not qualified. But I'm telling you from good authority that Mr. Derek Mene is qualified. I am not a praise singer. I don't sing praises. But all things being equal, I will tell you that Mr. Derek Mene is a philanthropist. Mr. Derek Mene has helped the Ogoni communities within his reach. And I must give him accolades for that. In fact, he deserves all the accolades and encomium from Ogonis. And Ogonis have been doing so. You can go down there and check and see for yourself. That is about his person that I know.
I've heard of him in a number of places about his strives and what he has been doing over time. And I think that the Niger Delta will benefit if eventually he becomes the acting CEO of NDDC. I have no doubt, because in short, there is a physical presence of the NDDC in my community. I've seen, even if it's not much, kilometer road that is being done in my community. And this is the first time that my community will benefit from NDDC. And if that came to my community because of him being there, from what I hear, then I have no doubt that there will be even spread of projects from the NDDC if he becomes the acting CEO of the agency.
Another leading light in the annals of the NDDC, who rose from the position of Executive Director of Finance and Administration to become the Managing Director and Chief Executive of the Commission, is Chief Time Alaibes. Recently, the city of Lagos, southwest Nigeria, stood still for Chief Alaibes as he gave out his daughter Ebitimi in marriage to Ifeanyi Ajegbo. Inside the Niger Delta correspondent, Chika Obodozie, reports that the solemnization of holy matrimony between Ebitimi and Ifeanyi was preceded by a colorful traditional wedding ceremony at the Ikoyi residence of the Alaibes.
The cozy setting blended perfectly with a hilarious mood that produced an anticipated welcoming ambience at the traditional marriage between Ebitimi and Ifeanyi. It was culture at its very best as the hospitable Ijaws of the Niger Delta hosted their regal neighbors from Obusi Kingdom in southeast Nigeria. Heads of both families, Chief Time Alaibes and Senator Mike Ajegbo, were honored with the presence of their respective traditional rulers during the traditional marriage ceremony.
It's a wonderful feeling. Two cultures coming together. We're coming from Anambra State. Senator Mike Ajegbo is head of Obusi. He's a member of my cabinet. His son marrying the daughter of Chief Time Alaibes of Bayelsa. So these are two nations coming together.
Obusi is in Nigeria, it's in Anambra State. Bayelsa State is also not too far. So I think it's a wonderful experience that we'll be having relationship with the Anambra people. For me, it's a thing of joy. I will always encourage intertribal marriage. Love has no barrier.
After the consummation of the traditional marriage rites, Ijaw lyrical icon Barrister Smooth regaled friends and well-wishers with his melodious tunes.
And you can see the galaxy of very highly respected Nigerians coming to be part and parcel of this event. So we are indeed happy and prayerful for the couple, and hope and pray that the Almighty God will always continue to bless them.
We are happy, excited, in a joyous mood to be here to celebrate one of our daughters who has made us proud from our childhood to our graduation and to her being employed, and has shown that she's one beautiful angel that we are today coming to celebrate, to give out in marriage.
We bless them with all our mind and heart. We bless them to go out there and be prosperous.
Amen.
That this relationship they are creating today will manifest just as the union between the church and the government. That union is what we're establishing today by their marriage.
Having given his consent and blessings to the union between Ebitimi and Ifeanyi, Chief Alaibe, obviously elated and fulfilled, arrived in the company of his beautiful daughter to witness the solemnization of holy matrimony between the couple at Our Lady of Perpetual Help Catholic Church, Victoria Island.
Define life. Take this ring.
As a sign of my love and fidelity.
As a sign of my love and fidelity.
In the name of the Father.
In the name of the Father. And of the Son. And of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Following the exchange of marital vows was a second reception at the prestigious Landmark Event Center on Victoria Island. It was an unprecedented roll call of iconic figures in politics, commerce, and industry, as well as other endeavors of life. Among them were former Presidents Olusegun Obasanjo and Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, who graced the occasion with his wife, Dame Patience Jonathan. Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, led a powerful team of business people and industrialists to the colorful event.
The brief remarks I'll make just to appreciate the two families, the Alaibes family and the Mamode family, for bringing two young people to this age and for them to get married today. The day your daughter or your son get married is one of the happiest days, especially when you look around what is happening in society. They are very pleased, they are quite happy, and we're joining them to celebrate that happiness. And for the young people who are getting married today, and I believe you will make a good husband and wife, we have to, you don't need to go to town to learn. You learn from the parents. Because they have shown a good relationship that exhibited good marriage relationship. So if you follow their footsteps, you make a good husband and wife.
You, the couple of today, will have all the blessings of marriage. And sooner than later, you will come to your family again to celebrate the naming of your child. I wish you very, very happy married life. And I felicitate with the two families. Congratulations.
We have no doubt in our mind that it's going to be a wonderful union of two great families, and I want to wish them the very best.
Their different cultural backgrounds notwithstanding, Ebitimi and Ifeanyi share a lot in common. Both products of stable families with decent upbringing and sound education, the newlyweds are said to be active members of the Catholic Youth's Organization who have made useful contributions to the growth of the church and propagation of the gospel.
That's my only son, and he's getting married today. So I'm exceptionally happy. I'm proud of the young man. And he has chosen a lovely young lady to be his wife. And the only thing I have for them is God's blessings, God's protection, and let them continue as they've started living in the Lord. May the God Almighty bless them and guide them for now and forevermore.
Overwhelmed by the uncommon love demonstrated by friends and other well-wishers who flew into the country from across the globe, Ifeanyi was lost for words. The delectable groom had delegated his charming better half, Ebitimi, to give the vote of thanks.
We just want to say thank you for coming out here to be with us, to celebrate with us, for showing your love. We have so many people that came from so far away, all around the world.
Well, congratulations to the newlyweds and their families. We wish them all the best as they forge ahead in life. And that's how much we can take on this edition of the program. Inside the Niger Delta, we'll be back same time, same station next week. Until then, I'm yours sincerely, Mamode Akugha, thanking you all for staying tuned. And bye for now.